Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am joined by LO Fitness's own in-house nutritionist, Sofie.
Hello.
Welcome to the channel. And this is a little collaboration. As many of you know, I also work at LO Fitness, so we wanted to bring out some content that is based on nutrition, because we noticed there's not a lot of emphasis on nutrition, and it's something that's often not talked about as much. So I actually put out some questions last week on my Instagram page asking what you guys would like to know, and we have about 5 to 6 questions that we will just be directly discussing for you today. Alright, so the first question we have, what is the best source of protein for vegetarians, or what are some sources?
I mean, you've got plenty of options when you're going vegetarian. Like some examples are tofu, tempeh, edamame, chickpeas, like other beans and pulses. But you can also go for things like quinoa or amaranth, more cereal-like sources, really. It's usually a really good idea to get your protein from a variety of sources, so you cover the full amino acid profile, which you would usually get from non-vegetarian protein sources. Plus you get like a whole host of like micronutrients if you're going vegetarian, which you might lack otherwise. Okay,
so the sources that you've named are you want to basically have a variety of those, so not just going for one, right?
Exactly. I mean, some of these have a complete amino acid profile, but usually it's better for bioavailability if you just get them from a variety. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right. The second question we have: are diets different for everybody? So there's underlying principles of nutrition and metabolism that apply to everyone. So there's certain things that everyone needs to eat and needs to get. That being said, obviously we're all very different. Some people have different health conditions. Some people have different dietary requirements that they like to eat voluntarily. So there is differences in how you deal with that. And there's also a big difference in how your workout routine looks like. I mean, if you're more cardio focused, more strength focused, what your goals are, how many hours you work out per week. So all of these things influence like a person's diet, and there's not really a one size fits all solution.
All right, perfect. So when you say, from your own professional opinion, when the word diet is used, what comes in your mind, and do you think it should really continue to be called a diet? Or what is the distinction between a diet and just the way you eat, a lifestyle? Because often a diet can be limiting. So what are your thoughts on this?
Personally, and I mean that does probably connect to the fact that I work in nutrition, diet for me means what a person eats in general. It doesn't need to be time restricted in any way, it doesn't need to be specialized. So if you say diet, I think that is your lifestyle. I'm aware though that a lot of people think diet as a term means you're going to do it for a few weeks, maybe a few months, it's very restrictive. Yeah. But I do think that it's really important to shift that people move away from I need to do this temporarily and reach my goal, to we make this a sustainable thing and we make it part of our lifestyle.
Right. No, I agree, and sustainability is very important, as you mentioned, and I think so many people shy away from nutrition because they hear these key words like diet, and I think it's all a matter of the mental shift, you know, and so thank you, yeah, very good.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, just to add on to that maybe a little bit, I do think that diet as a term, it sounds very restrictive. A lot of people think of, I'm only going to be eating vegetables, or I'm only going to be eating very restricted amount of foods. Absolutely. And I think making it more sustainable and letting people know that you can eat very, very healthily and you can still really enjoy food is a really important part of that shift.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we've had some really interesting questions so far. Again, thank you to Sofie. This is very informative for me too. So the next question we have is a bit more specific to martial arts. Is there any specific diet for martial artists or combat sports athletes in specific?
Well, since you're performing at a very high level and you do a lot of cardio as a martial artist, it just becomes even more important to actually make sure that you get a balanced diet and you get a healthy balanced diet. So things like lean protein, like good complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats are just all the more important, and that you get enough of it.
Right.
Good examples for these things would be lean protein, would be seafood, chicken, or vegetarian protein, as we mentioned before. Healthy fats you can get from nuts, seeds, also seafood is a great option there. And then complex carbohydrates, anything from whole grains, from sweet potatoes to normal potatoes. I mean, let's not forget these.
Yeah.
Gotta love some potatoes. So like making sure that you get a good balance of these is really important. Like carbohydrates usually should make up between 50 to 60% of your intake, really, because that's what your muscles work off.
Right.
And replenishing glycogen stores after intense exercise, that's what carbohydrates are needed for.
Okay. And in terms of just generally, is there any, there isn't any set like time where you should be taking a specific macronutrient, right? Like carbs after a heavy session or before a heavy session or
There is very controversial research about this.
Okay.
So some papers say that you should have some protein and carbohydrates beforehand. Some say it's better to have it within 2 hours after your workout. There's different research that says you should have only proteins. There's others that say you should always have a little bit of carbohydrates with your protein so you can metabolize it better. It's all, yeah, again, a bit controversial. And as we said, there's no really one-size-fits-all solution. People respond very, very differently.
Right.
So usually having a snack before your workout, up to an hour before, especially if it's intense, you don't want to eat within that hour, is a good idea. And having something within 2 hours afterwards is also good, because as I mentioned, the glycogen stores in your muscles do deplete with cardio.
Right.
So replenishing those stores is really, really good.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. All right, now the next one we have, the next question is actually a very hard question to answer. So I very much respect Sofie for taking the time to do some research, also really finding the most sufficient way to answer this question, because it encompasses a lot of complicated concepts that go a bit beyond. But let's see how we can answer this in a short amount of time. So essentially, how effective is the keto diet? There's a lot of different controversy around it. Tell us a little bit about the keto diet and what you think about this as a nutritionist.
The way people metabolize what they take in is very much based on carbohydrates. Like we run off carbohydrates, that's what majorly fuels us, that's what they're for. So personally, I don't really believe in a ketogenic diet, because I do believe that in the long run, for a diet to be sustainable, you do need carbohydrates. There's people who feel better if they get onto a ketogenic diet for a short amount of time. And that's for everyone to find out for themselves. You can always try it, but I wouldn't recommend anyone to actually stay on a ketogenic diet for a long time, especially if you're a martial artist or like perform combat sports at any level. You do need carbohydrates to kind of keep yourself going. That's where your energy comes from.
Right. So essentially you could say that the ketogenic diet is a good one if we're looking to, for example, quickly lose weight, or like you know, for fighters, martial artists, often they have to cut weight, right? Mm-hmm. So for something like that, where that you're aware that yes, you are going to face some discomfort, but your goal is very clearly to lose weight or get in a certain shape or appearance or something, would you agree that for that it is more sufficient rather than a lifestyle?
It's definitely more sufficient as a short-term diet rather than a lifestyle. If it's suitable for losing weight or achieving your goals quickly, very much depends on you and like what your goals are. Again, personally, I believe to achieve your goals, to perform, you do need some carbohydrates in your diet. But this is, again, everyone's different. Some people feel great for a few weeks on a ketogenic diet. So people go experiment.
Absolutely. All right, so touching up a little bit on the controversy and different discussions, a lot of people will look at the keto diet and they will just look at the concept, you know, high fat, low carbs, high protein, and maybe not follow a specific plan tailored for them, and end up thinking, okay, I can just take in whatever I want as long as it's high in fat and high in protein. What are your thoughts on this, and what would you like to say regarding, you know, where balance comes in still, and can you just take in anything, or do you still need to watch that it's a good source of fat and protein?
I think in any diet it's important to look at what you eat and plan it, but if you're going for an extreme diet like the ketogenic diet, it becomes even more important that you plan it carefully and you know exactly what you're doing. So, like, coming back to your question, is it still important what you take in and what kinds of fat? I would say yes. If you cut out like almost an entire macronutrient, you have to make sure that you get like all the things that you would usually get from there from other sources. So it's still important to make sure that you get good fats in, even if it's the high fat intake, that you get good protein. And personally, I would say that it's also important to still get in some fiber. So that's why having some carbohydrates in there, complex carbohydrates specifically, is still a good idea.
Right. And for a complete beginner, what are some simple or good kind of staple fat sources which can be combined with protein? For example, salmon as an example, that you would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, fatty seafood like fish, salmon, tuna is always good, and there's lots of omega-3s in there. Nuts and seeds are good fats, like polyunsaturated fats. Then there's avocados, there's plenty of like fruit and vegetables, seeds especially, that you can actually eat for this.
So it would also potentially be sustainable for vegetarians if they wisely chose what they were going to add to their diet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very much possible. You would probably end up eating a lot, but I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right,
so.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect. Well, so that concludes the questions that we got from you. Thank you so much, Sofie. This was really helpful. I'm really hoping you guys enjoyed this, and we would definitely be up to do this in the future with different topics, with some of our coaches, and it's let us know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and we would gladly come back to you. Thank you so much again, Sofie, and
no problem.
Thank you. We'll see you on the next video.
Thank you.